Turn 2. We've got a little bit of events. At the beginning of the turn, Finland has the perfidious Finns have joined the war on us. Those bastards. I knew it. The Axis is suffering from garrison shortages. Good. It's a little blurb about Hitler and his wolf slayer, and another little blurb about how FDR ended racism in the army forever. Don't look into that any further. Our losses. Summary. The Axis actually lost victory points last turn, which is rare on turn 2. But I think they'll get more in the future. But we did lose another 136,000 men, 2,000 guns, almost 1,000 tanks, 700, and a bunch of planes. So it's top of turn 2, and it looks like the Axis did not hammer us as much as they could have. However, I'm going to turn on these ground battles and see. They cleaned up a bunch of pockets here. They put a lot of. They've made large strides into the Baltic and towards our Pskov line, but they haven't cracked the line up here, which is great. They put a lot of effort into making sure that we could not break out our middle pocket, so that's still there. I'll have to check on if it's still got our Western Front headquarters in the pocket. Hopefully not. This is also severely. They encircled more guys, new divisions in this pocket, and made a lot of progress towards Smolensk. So we're gonna have to sort this mess out. They really put a lot of effort into this army group center, just pushing further up the middle. Just hated it all straight up the middle, like they're going all the way to Moscow. They think they are. Yeah, the North, they just deleted a bunch of shit. In the South, they did not do very well. They actually fought multiple times, multiple attacks, tried to knock down this army, this unit that stayed entrenched, and they did not do very well. So leaving some of the headquarters with the sacrificial units may have done decently. They did get a little bit of progress, and here we actually just held them off in our defense here. I don't know if the reserve units actually came in clutch, or if that's the unit just held on its own regardless. But they are not making good progress in the south. Looks like we'll be able to get these units out of the pocket. The Romanians also did not do a lot of attacks. They just pushed forward. Again, not as much as I would expect them. They didn't even make it to the Dniester. So that gives us a little more time to build up a little more fortifications before we start getting attacked. We'll have to bug our tanks out of here. So that's decent. We still will have pocket phases to clean up. Most of these troops in the main pockets are probably doomed, sadly. But we have a southern line that's looking pretty good. The Southwestern Front is looking quite good. They're doing a really good job, which is a little bit historical, but a little bit better than history. They've deployed a lot of units to try to clear the marshes, which is great because we can use the marshes as defensive cover. We will have to put a line through them, but again, not yet. That just gives us more time to bring up more units and to halt the Army Group South's advance down here. So that's pretty good. Other than this is a mess and is bad, and we'll have to fix it. But other than that, I'm pretty happy. Northwestern Air Command is going to continue to retreat. Let's get these guys on retreat. I think we're just going to continue pulling back our air forces right now. Southern Air Command actually could still keep, I'll put them on flex. And Southwestern Air Command I will put on flex as well. It's a little dangerous, but I feel like that's fine. They're on retreat. Northern pockets. This pocket is screwed. They're just gonna try to juke away from the units that they can. This is this lone paratrooper. These guys are gonna hold in place and tie down these divisions as long as possible. These guys are gonna evacuate by sea if possible, and we'll start including this area in our northern pockets discussion because it's soon to be pocketed. Like I said, I'm gonna probably leave most of these guys here. This guy I might bring down to here and evacuate him, or bring down to here. Well, I don't know if this ferry goes to both islands. It's an odd one. But I'm certainly not going to leave this motorized unit here. It's getting out of here. But yeah, so the northern pocket section is going to be pretty easy to manage. Yeah, all those ship symbols you see, all these little boat symbols, are people we've managed to successfully evacuate. There's 2 units that we weren't able to. We don't have the boat capacity for it. Pocket held, and these guys, they're kind of screwed. They just gonna split them up and go to the woods and just cause as much mischief as in the enemy's rear as possible. Next one is our main pocket. Now we do have some guys who are just going to be continuing to sit in their fortifications as long as possible, but the Germans kind of left some of these guys open, so I might just march some of these guys into eastern Prussia and start to rip up the railroad tracks. It might have metagame implications. It might free up some German reserve units, but that's fine. Same with these guys. They've been so far left behind that they're essentially in the German rear, and they can go around and cause problems to the rail system. Bad news is they put so much effort into this that this front, the good armored units I was talking about, are not going to have a lot of chance of breakout. We'll move them up, but we're starting to see even infantry regiments that can consolidate into divisions at the actual front line here, so that they have been well and truly pocketed. We could go... Interesting. We could go and retake Minsk and make a stand there. That might be a good thing to do. Or we could keep fortifying in the woods, but that's central pocket is not a good place. I'll go ahead and talk about the southern pockets. All these are so isolated; they're just scattered, and we can deal with them one by one. Soon we will not have a pocket front to deal with, but for now we do. Let's tearing up the tracks that I like on this southern guys. They only have 1 square of movement, basically, thanks to these axis fortifications that they'd have to clear here. There are some wonky rules about the AI being able to build forts, which, hey, we've taken advantage of it, so they can too. But we did a little bit of tearing up the tracks over here, and all these little cities and all these little airports had depots, and some of them had flak battalions that surrendered, so that was great. This mess, the Third Army is going to keep staying in place and defending as long as it can. The units here that are less mobile are going to... I'll lift this guy behind. They're going to just defend in rough terrain around where they are in these mountain, or rather hilly hexes. Just make them try to fortify, make them push us out. The mobile units, including the Western Air Command, Jesus, are going to try to defend Minsk as long as possible and seek a breakthrough back to our own lines. Now, since the pockets were such a short phase, I guess we get a there's not a real natural conclusion as to where to go next. I think I'm going to go south to north again. So I will talk about the southern front, then the southwestern, then yada yada yada. Southern front is basically going perfectly. We this is no longer viable, so we're gonna pull these guys back. We're gonna pull back our remaining stragglers. These guys are gonna leave. I could disband them. They're a machine gun unit, but it's a little cheesy if they leave them an exit route. Exit route a third time. I might disband them, but we're gonna pull all these guys back. Fortify that Dniester line. Pull all our guys we got on the trains forward to that Dniester line. Hopefully, set maybe a tank division. Maybe this like really strong tank division here. Set it in reserve to maybe stop them. So the goal is for these German and Romanian units to just make them walk up to the Dniester and then spend another turn, and then have to deliberate attack the turn afterwards. We're also going to defend these little lines over here with them, and so that's where we are. All right. Bingus. We got our Southern Army here mostly figured out in this kind of confused terrain area. In this sort of confused area, the Southwestern Front's going to have to pick up some of the slack there so that the Germans don't break through our very weak security units and just fortified machine gun units. I'm pretty happy with my Dniester line. I've got a tank unit on reserve. I hope that works the way I think it does. I've got a bunch of units on the line. I am a little worried about this guy. Got an armor unit that's on refit on the front line. Units on refit are, trying to get more equipment to get in shape to fight again earlier. They're really not meant to be on the front lines where they can be beat up immediately. You're really meant to refit people behind the lines, like these other armored units are doing back here. This very badly depleted security battalion we had to get out of there. I've also railed up the rest of the Caucasus units as best I could, and some of the Crimean units, while I moved my southern front got unlocked, and I was able to move it back to Nikolaev, put an actual unit back into Odessa to start fortifying that already. I'm pretty happy with this front. I think we've got a strong defensive line, even with Southwest having to pick up slack down here. We're in pretty good shape. The one issue is, though, our stacking limit for the 9th Army. So the 9th Army is the only army belonging to the Southern Front. It is way over its stacking limit. I'm not sure what that actually does in gameplay, but I'm pretty sure it's bad. So when we get new army containers, I'm going to have to move one down here because that's not sane or efficient. Army. Hey, look, all these. Maybe this guy doesn't look great. I don't know. I don't know the general system that well. I don't know what all the stats are. Alright, figured it out. We put Tolbukin in charge of this, and he's a much better general. He's got much better stats. That took a lot of our AP, and one of the disadvantages you get on hard mode is you do not have a whole lot of AP. So that's going to be something we have to look out for in the future. But I think since this front is so overloaded to this army, having someone with reasonable numbers, whatever the hell they mean, should be much better for us. So in the future, might look into more efficient ways of spending my AP, and maybe replacing entire front leaders as a priority. But I think that was a pretty good buy. Alright, Southwestern Front. So this front is in pretty good shape. I would generally say we've managed to stop the Germans, at least temporarily, around the central area. Let me turn on the fights again. They only had one major attack here, which they failed pretty miserably. They had to move up all their supporting infantry, and they failed badly to clear this pocket out. So they did get a few surrenders over here, but overall, the Southwestern, historically, it was in one of the best shape of the Soviet fronts, and in this, we're in even better shape. So my priority is going to be clearing out the remains of these units out of this potential pocket, setting up a defensive line along this where the Dniester is a minor river, and holding this defensive line. Now, eventually, because of pressures to the south and the Germans eventually bringing their troops through the Pripyat, we will have to abandon this little position, but I say we hold it for a while, try to just make the Germans attack it, make them spend some time hiking up to it, bringing up supporting infantry and attacking it, and then our Southwestern Front will be in really good shape. Remember, our overall goal here is to just keep them off of Kiev, just keep them away from it. We don't want it to fall. That would have been very strong for the Soviets historically if they'd managed to keep this. And we've got a lot of good terrain obstacles. Like, this is open, but we've got a lot of good terrain obstacles between them and it. So I'm very optimistic about this. See you soon. Not much action around here. Just pulled the troops out of the forming pocket around Stanislav. Got the Marade reasonably well. Still got that reserve division to block off these lines over here, and shuffled some guys about. Got that gap in the southern front finished out, and shuffled some units between the two fronts. They left Lvov unguarded, which is a weakness of the AI, so maybe I shouldn't take advantage of it, but it's still a great opportunity to just break this rail connection, make them turn back, deal with some of these units. These guys, they can't really go a whole lot of places, though if this railroad repair battalion gets close, I am absolutely going to go up and clap it. Those things are worth their weight in gold to the Germans. They absolutely need them for their logistics and their invasion, and if they can't get through Galicia very well, then they're not really going to get through much of the rest of Ukraine very well. This guy needs to be reassigned, but up here I've kind of put together a little bit of a defensive line. It really needs to be solidified. I've still got my Western Front units and moved some of them already out of here. My swamp brigades are doing well, but I will need to push my Southwestern Front reinforcements into the Pripyat. I think at this point I can actually start to make a bit of a stand inside the Pripyat, which is excellent. Usually you just have to abandon most of it all the way up to this just western edge, just to get get your troops out. But I think that's going well. So on to the Western Front. Western Front continues to be a mess. It's the front with the biggest pocket left, though we've already covered that, and a bunch of just depleted and destroyed units. So I may or may not reassign. I'll reassign all the STAVKA units, but I may or may not reassign the units to other that belong to other military districts, even though they're far beyond where they should be. Just to save some of the weight on the HQ of the Western Front. So, which we did manage to get out, so that's great. But so our front HQ is no longer in the pocket. But what we're going to do is we're going to pull these guys back a bit. They're in danger of being encircled. We're going to get all our depleted and unready units back and try to start refitting them, and our replacement units up forward to occupy the Dnieper line. Now, we did get some more units encircled, some STAVKA units encircled, which is rather embarrassing trying to do this. So we'll do for them what we can, and this northern part of the north of Smolensk land bridge is going to really be the Northwestern front's responsibility, and we'll get to that later. But we're going to try to just we're going to probably try to set up a little bit of a defense along the Pruitt so that we can, or the Drit, this creek, before the Dnieper line, so that we can get just delay them a little bit further. I've found that the more fighting happens at the Smolensk land bridge, the less the Germans can get across the terrain, the better it is for the Soviets. Now, the land bridge itself is actually bad fighting terrain for us. It's a lot of open. We've got this one forest line. It's not even fortified yet, and a whole bunch of units just stringing all the way back to Moscow that we'll have to bring forward and whip into shape. So this is by far the worst put together front in the center, but I think we can put together something, and hopefully it'll be less of a dog's breakfast when we get back. Yeah, no, this isn't good. I did my best to clean up here, but I'm going to have to leave some of the units attached to military districts, and I turned a bunch of this northern section over to the Moscow military district. This is still in terrible shape. I managed to clean up the sort of Pripyat area a little bit, but that comes at the expense of the Smolensk area, which is not my intention. So we'll just have to play it by ear here. I'll definitely be bringing in as much reinforcements as I can to this area, because it in particular is going to get dire real fast. Now, we do have a few defenses up, so we're not totally screwed. Though these two pocketed divisions they're in pretty bad this is a pretty bad thing to happen, but it just shows you the risks of trying to delay the Germans in forward positions. Worked wonders in the south. Works wonders some of the time, but other times you can just get yourself pocketed for no good reason. Onto the Northwestern front. I think what I'm going to do is generally this area between Smolensk and Pskov is going to be the Northwestern front's responsibility, whereas Pskov and northward is going to be the Leningrad front's responsibility. And in general, I'm just going to get these lines established in rough terrain. This is in pretty good shape so far. I'll even be able to push this line a little bit forward, maybe, because it looks like the Germans did not have a lot of their supporting infantry up. Now, we will have to worry. They do have this SS division, the Totenkampf, so they're the they're the real evil ones, really. They do have these guys up in a position to attack Pskov, but Pskov is being fortified fairly well. So we'll just have to fight like hell along this the Velkaya, or Okaya, what? River, so that we this minor river here, so that we so that we can keep their vanguard across. It's okay if we lose this position once they've brought up the infantry, but we just want to right now keep them from being able to take it on the march. We're still abandoning Estonia, sorry, but we're going to probably keep these regiments on this on the Sarama and whatever this one's called, Hayama Islands, active. I'm not exactly sure where this ferry goes, if it's just to here or if it's like a here to here. Oh no, that says Baltic Sea, so I might move this guy down south. But this, the Germans, just give them a headache, and if everything fails, we can retreat to the port and book it out of there on boats. We're also going to keep on fortifying Tallinn with the 1st Naval Infantry Brigade. Just, again, make them take it. But the rest of our forces are going to pull back behind the Narva River and go ahead and start on fortifying the Narva line. That was a little bit more expansive than I thought, but I can do both of these at once. So Northwestern, very quick, shipped in some reinforcements, reinforced this line. Hopefully our southern point does not erode too badly, and we also have some frontline refits, which is bad, but due to a lot of this front being pocketed, its command is in fairly good shape. We may move the northern parts of the Smolensk land bridge defenses into the Northwestern Front eventually, but that's where it is right now, and so it's pretty good. Let me see if there were any fights. I don't think there were any fights in this area. No, all the fights were around the pocket, so there weren't any. Just the Germans marching through empty Baltic states. Mainly the Leningrad Front is just shuffling units around and the command to get this from a kind of placeholder fortification area into something that's actually battle ready. Though I did move someone down to this little security battalion, I think. Battalion, brigade, border guard, question mark. Down to this little land bridge area. It's a really bad place to attack through, but that doesn't mean we should leave it open. And just hoping that Pskov holds, so that's it. We've mostly dealt with our reinforcements as part of different armies. However, we still have some stragglers in the Kursk area that I'm probably just going to send straight over to the west. And I think maybe we've put the guys in the north on a train already. We also have our reserve screen, where we're just going to send a bunch of these guys to the... Ooh, not what I meant to do. Send a bunch of these guys to the front, and we're going to just disband a bunch of these like depleted anti-air units with nothing in them. We're going to try to refit where we can, but I've noticed that the small Soviet subunits tend to pile up. Ooh, mechanized corps. Send that in. It does have a transfer delay, so we do have a little ways to go. But refit when we have depleted units in here. Just bring... These guys will be... Anything that's regiment or below will be auto-deployed to HQs, which I'm totally fine with. And just bring some more of these rifle divisions and tank divisions into operation, whereas these smaller subunits either try to refit some of them, but disband where we can't refit, because this screen has a tendency to get clogged with garbage if you're not disbanding or sending units in. Though I won't spend much time on it, it's a boring screen. Alright, so that's it for turn 2. I think we've done pretty well. I'll check up on how this campaign compares to historical. We get a little further into it. Hopefully our Western Front holds decently. I'm going to get the AI to manage those depots. Come on. Alright, come on. Well, alright, there we go. And then I'm going to ship the turn over to the Germans, and they'll, air supply happens at the end of your turn. Anyway, ship the turn over, see how it goes, and I will see you all next turn.